years.
First time I ever heard that was Jim Rome. He would use it as a drop occasionally, and when he would say when he would say that I'm going to make it up to you, Jim Rome would always say, "No, you're not." So it's
Right,
funny. It's been
exactly.
around for a while. So,
But I love hearing that national anthem every week. It gets better. It really touches the heart. Absolutely, you're right.
It's a great way to start the show.
It is. And we're gonna go from something that's very lighthearted to, before we get into high spots, before we get into talk about Ricky Cruz, who's going to be on tonight, and talk about Dynamo Pro. We got so much to talk about. I do have to mention the tragic passing of Jerome Young, better known to wrestling fans worldwide, better known to all of us as New Jack. He had tragically passed away last week at the age of 58 from a heart attack. And the night owl asked us, or he'd asked me about this before the show, if we should do a moment of silence. And I told him, I said, why not do the opposite? I mean, because when you think about it, Jack never wanted to be silent. He was the one stirring things up, always the one getting the crowd riled up, giving them a reason per student. So I figured we do the opposite on this one. I wanted to share, I'd watched his Dark Side of the Ring documentary dozens of times. It's one of my favorite ones from that series. And, he went through a hell of a life. We're not going to act like he was a saint who never did anything wrong, but he had a hell of an upbringing. I mean, and then, like I said, in the documentary, you can see it for yourself. But he created a lot of controversy, but he was one of the most innovative and popular hardcore wrestlers of all time, in my opinion. And Hardcore Hoss, I know you're with us over there on the lovely board. And Chris, I want to get your guys' thoughts on the passing of New Jack as well.
Well, if you get a chance, watch Talking Smack from this week. At the very end, they gave, I guess Vince let Paul Heyman say a few words, and I mean, so it was really cool. I mean, the best thing that Paul Heyman said was like, normally when a wrestler passes away, we show video and highlights, and we absolutely can't do that because New Jack was the most non-PG wrestler around. So
right.
when he's in Smoky Mountain and he's saying, OJ, keep up the good work, there's two less we have to worry about. I'm like, ooh.
That's just cold. That is bad. I mean, they had to start putting disclaimers at the bottom of the screen when New Jack and Mustafa over there smoking pencil shavings and everything.
Right.
But anyway,
right.
At the bottom,
I rewatched the Dark Side of the Ring too after he passed away, just because it seemed timely. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But they had to put a disclaimer that said the views of New Jack or of the Gangsters does not represent this station or Smoky Mountain Wrestling, because they were just getting all kinds of hate. And it wasn't, I've mentioned this on the show many times before. There's a difference between go away heat and we hate you heat. And the Gangsters, New Jack, Mustafa, they got we hate you heat. I mean,
yeah, they got a little bit of both, though. If you think about it, I mean, crowds didn't like him. I mean, the crowds didn't like him, but it was a pretty. I mean, it was just, it's a sad time. I mean, New Jack. I was kidding around with one of my friends. I was like, just imagine being in that battle royal up there in heaven with all the wrestlers like Randy Savage and everybody else, and all of a sudden, Natural Born Killers by Dr. Dre comes on, and New Jack comes out with that trash can full of weapons and what everyone would look like. I thought that was my favorite. Whenever I told my friend that, he was like, "Yeah, that's not cool."
Right. Marco Haas, you have anything you want to add?
it's just a sad thing with the passing of New Jack, and it's this whole past year has just been a rough year. But Maestro, uh, I actually have been working on audio, and we've actually got audio improved and working. So let's give this a try here. I know when we were on our other server, which I won't mention, it doesn't work quite as well. But
Yeah.
I think we got it working a little bit better here. So let's go ahead and give a 10 bell salute for the passing. May New Jack rest in peace.
Amen. Well, I think it's time we kick it off into high spots. What do you guys think?
Oh, I don't know. Do we have anything to talk about this week?
Well, just before we go into high spots, though, Chris, you were talking about having to keep it PG on this platform. We use the Iron Sheik as our censor.
Yes,
so it doesn't necessarily have to stay PG.
Trust me, I know. I've been here. I gotta love the Iron Sheik though.
Yeah. So what's the Iron Sheik say about censorship?
Fucking bullshit.
That's what I'm talking about.
So, all right.
We don't make the rules; we just break them.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you two take it. I'm basically here for the boards, but.
All right, Hardcore Hoss, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for all the work you do, my friend. Absolutely.
Mic check. Yeah. Right. Wrestle Talk Podcast. DJ Money. Yeah. Let's go. Welcome to High Spots, where we pop news like lamb chops. We talk shop, coming through the screens of a laptop, and non-stop like a runner speeches of blacktop. We hit hard like chair shots and backdrops, like a spark flash, look like a barely fly. Now that's hard. We up to speed while they stay slow. Wrestle Talk Podcast, now they know we about to start the show.
Well, I guess there is one small thing I should do. Actually, it's not small. It's very important, very big before we get into our high spots. And that is talk about our sponsors for the Wrestle Talk podcast. I mean, come on. They're the ones that keep this thing running. All right. So our lovely sponsors for the program are Everything Combat, Kincaid, Esports Bar KC, Interstate 70 Sports Media, Royal Mills Transportation, Painter's Dream Productions, and of course, the FWWC. And with that, let's kick off High Spots with a little talk of WrestleMania Backlash.
Oh, I knew you were going to say it. I knew you were going to start. Okay. Here's the thing. I know what the first thing we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the zombie Jack match, aren't we?
Wait, there were zombies on a wrestling pay-per-view? What?
Okay, I didn't hate it. I didn't like it. Didn't hate it. It was one of those things that was just. It was the match that had the least needed for it. There was had the least on the line, and they promoted the movie that that was the sponsor of the show. So I mean. Come on, it's wrestling. I mean, hey, you like The Undertaker. The Undertaker's got supernatural powers. Kane can send fire through his fingers, I think David LaGreca took it a little step too far. He just went completely off. I don't know if you had the chance to listen to that. And I mean, it is what it is. It was a way to tie in the movie, and it worked. And it was the thing.
All right, I'm gonna agree with you on this. Okay, first off, yes, it was outlandish, it was weird, it was stupid, but I've been watching wrestling since about 2005, and I've been watching videos regarding wrestling that date back decades before that, and there are far more outlandish and stupid things than the zombie lumberjacks.
David Arquette was WCW champion for
exactly.
For the love
David
of holy.
Arquette was WCW champion. I mean,
there was the Chamber of Horrors match back in, I believe, 92 or 93, where Abdullah the Butcher was electrified. I mean, here in St. Louis, we had the TNA pay-per-view with the lockdown with the electrified cage, and then to top that off, my friend reminded me that there was a blindfolded cage match. So
yeah, and then you even have something as simple as a sledgehammer on a pole match, and you may wonder why that's stupid. Well, just because you're the first one to grab it, that doesn't mean you're the only one that's able to use it. It just means you were able to get it down first. Like,
WCW had a Judy Bagwell on the pole match, and I don't even know what that was about.
Yeah. Oh, that just sounds awful. So, yeah, like I said, and, I think the reason that this whole thing with the zombies is so overblown, or it's so talked about, is because you go back a week before to AEW's Blood and Guts match, and between the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle, and how it ended. Controversial ending to it, Jericho getting thrown off, and everybody saying how that threw wrestling back 30 years. Well, then about a week or two later, you have this Dawn of the Dead WWE style. I mean, so I think that's another reason it's garnering so much attention. But yeah, like you brought up, Chris, we have seen so much worse.
Right. I mean, honestly, it's crazy. And to come to find out, I read today. I'm trying to find the article on it. That the Miz actually was injured during that match.
And fear is that he tore his ACL. That's the fear.
Yeah, the fear, but he didn't stop the match, and he they credited him. Fightful Select actually had that.
Okay.
That they don't think it was as severe as a torn ACL when it initially occurred, but it appears that he might have actually tore his ACL now. So we will see. I mean, working through an injury takes a real pro. It doesn't matter what level you're at, whether you're at the indie scene or whether you're at you can either stop the match, bring the match home to a quick end, or you can try to work through it. I mean, Look what Triple H blew out his quad. He worked through the rest of that match. So,
absolutely.
I mean,
I agree. And
I mean, like I said, we've had. I mean, if you go back a couple further than that on AEW, you had that death match explosion, whatever, and the ending fireworks didn't.
All it was fireworks. It wasn't anything.
Right.
It wasn't explosions. It was just little fireworks.
Right. So, but that was cool. So I would like to see if AEW would have brought in zombies like that. If everyone had been like, oh well, that's new and that's unique and that's interesting and
it's innovative. Oh yeah, it's the next big thing. Like, and I like AEW, but what I hate is just hypocrisy between WWE and AEW. I hate the hypocrisy where if one company does it, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But if the other one does it, oh no, it's all bad. And it goes both ways with the companies. But when you bring up the Miz, you talk about how with the injuries, and how any injury, going through the match like a pro. It also reminds me, remember, at WrestleMania 27, he was in the main event and he had a concussion, and it was to the point where he doesn't remember being like that, finishing that match. I mean, he was legitimately knocked out. So you're right, Chris, on that.
I mean, you can get your bell rung. I remember watching something that the Undertaker with his match with Brock doesn't remember. I believe I saw it on that Last Ride special that he doesn't remember. Like, he doesn't remember most of that day, for one. Oof. I mean, people get their bell rung. I mean, it's happened locally, and you do what you can. If they're really knocked out, you have to stop the match, obviously. But if
right,
so it's just one of the. It's crazy to think that if AEW does it, it's perfect. But if WWE does it, it's crazy. It's the worst thing that's ever happened. It's setting the business back. So I mean, and I didn't hate WrestleMania Backlash. With the condensed style, the one thing that the WWE has learned during the pandemic is, like, you don't need 6-hour pay-per-views. You don't need 12 matches. You need 6 or 7 really good matches. I mean, I like the 2-night WrestleMania thing. I'll go to my grave on that one. I love the 2-night WrestleMania thing.
Me too. I agree.
Because you could split the card up. You can have, just like they did, you have your women's main event from the Royal Rumble, the winner of the Royal Rumble getting the main event, and you get the other one. So you have both of them actually getting a legit main event on one of the nights. So, but I guess that's just me. I mean, but I hope they've learned timing and pacing, because they've done really good here recently with the pacing and the amount of matches they've had. You don't need, like I said, you don't need 6-hour pay-per-views. So
right. And I agree with you on WrestleMania this year and last year. Honestly, having a 2-day pay-per-view works out great. And personally, I thought night 1 of this year's WrestleMania blew night 2 right out of the water.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think the year prior, night 2 blew the night 1 out of the water.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I mean, like the
but you can do that. You can lay out a 2-night show better, because you have like 8 matches on each show or so, and you can lay it out better, instead of, oh, we gotta book a hot opener and then we gotta work down. And I mean, Sasha and Bianca killed it. Killed it.
Match of WrestleMania, in my opinion. And when you bring up about not having to have 12 matches on one card, look back at one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time, WrestleMania 3, and look at the card. I mean, yeah, you have all the top stars on it, but out of all those, how many matches were truly either memorable or just outstanding? Because you have all those wrestlers to be on there in very short matches.
On WrestleMania 3, let's see, I think you can remember, Steamboat Savage, Hogan Andre. You kind of remember Hillbilly Jim and Hillbilly Jim Bundy and the Midgets. It's memorable for Brutus Beefcake's Barber debut. I mean,
yeah.
But I think if I remember right, Billy Jack Haynes wrestled. I think Billy Jack Haynes and Hercules wrestled in like one of the final matches of the card, and I don't know. It just.
I know Jake Roberts came out with Alice Cooper, but
right.
And it's not to say that it was a bad WrestleMania, because, like I said, it's one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. But to your point, it's all about the reason these last 2 WrestleManias have actually been good and better than expectations by far is because you have time to dedicate to all these matches now. You split them up into 2 nights, and you can dedicate more towards each of these matches. And like you said, you can have the main event for the Women's Royal Rumble on night 1 or night 2, whichever you choose, and then have the Men's Royal Rumble winner on the other night, whichever one it may be. And, this year it just so happened that the first night, in our opinion, was much better, in most people's opinions.
And that's not to say night two wasn't awful. I mean, there was nothing egregious about it. It didn't live up to the I mean, Edge, Daniel Bryan, and Roman Reigns was a perfectly fine main event. I mean,
absolutely.
It was perfectly fine. I just, I mean, that's just my opinion, but WrestleMania Backlash was really, really good. I mean, people, like you said, people didn't like but I thought Cesaro and Roman was a hell of a match.
Yes.
I mean,
oh gosh,
you couldn't ask for a better main event. You couldn't ask for a better main event. I mean,
but for me, I think there is my favorite moment on that show was by far, and like I said, for someone like me who's been watching wrestling for about 16 or so years, it was so awesome seeing Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio winning the SmackDown Tag Team Championships.
And I did not know that was the first father-son team to ever win the belts. I mean, you would think that throughout time a father and son would team together, but then again, you think about it, it's like
other promotions, but in WWE, I think that's the first father-son, right?
So I mean, it was good. I mean, and they played it off well. They played it off with an injury. I mean, you can kind of see it coming. I mean, if you've watched enough wrestling, you know that he's going to come down and try to fight. Well, Rey Mysterio is going to go at it alone.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Apparently Ray was ready to hang it up, but then Dom wanted to work with him and team with him, and so.
And now look at it.
Right. So.
And then, no more custody of Dominic ladder matches. Now it's
right. Right.
Now it's how much of a snake do I get real dad ladder matches.
But yeah, it was like Backlash was a good show. But can we switch topics and go to AEW this past week?
Yeah, let's go.
Because I have two problems with AEW this past week. I mean, okay, right. the Bucks and SCU was a really good match.
It was.
I mean,
I like
Daniels kind of got Eddie color, where he's just bleeding buckets. But that's neither here nor there. There were two things about AEW this week that was like they were just copying or mocking the WWE, because they did that. They did the "I'm sorry, I love you" super kick spot, and then the Inner Circle, the Inner Circle brought in the bubbly truck, which obviously WWE has been doing that for years. So those were two things I didn't like. I didn't hate the show. I mean, I didn't watch most of it because I was watching the Blues play, but I did see the "I love you, I'm sorry" spot, and I just was like, ugh.
Yeah, I agree on the Inner Circle, the bubbly truck didn't so much bother me. I knew exactly what they were spoofing. It didn't so much bother me. The thing with the Young Bucks, actually, I was bothered by, because Ric Flair versus Shawn Michaels is one of my all-time favorite matches. There was
it was truly
genuine. Exactly.
Yeah, it was a true moment spot. You have Ric Flair who's bubbling like a little baby as he's trying to stand up straight, and you just see Shawn Michaels like, and I hate to do this to you, but I mean, so the Bucks thing seemed forced and fake.
Right. Yeah, I agree, and I get it. The Young Bucks are the heel tag team that you're not supposed to like, but no, that was. What happened with the Young Bucks, what happened with Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair is one of the most genuine moments you will see in professional wrestling.
And Shawn Michaels brought out the best of Ric Flair. Ric Flair hadn't looked that good in a wrestling ring in years.
Oh my gosh, that match was phenomenal. Like Ric Flair put on decent enough matches, at the tail end of his career then. But you're right. Nothing compares to that.
Nothing like the classic 45 minutes with Steamboat back in the early 90s,
Right.
But I mean, and even Shawn and Rick wasn't Steamboat Flair from the 90s, but Ric Flair brought it that night. So
he did. And I think for me a match like that is one where you have to say to yourself at some point, like, holy crap, Ric Flair might actually win this match. And for a lot of the time, even though it's the time-honored tradition in professional wrestling that a retiring wrestler loses and goes out on his back, there was times in there where we thought, wait a minute, Ric Flair might actually win this. He's putting them in the figure four. I mean, he's dodging the moonsaults and everything.
And then even before the super kick to the super kick to end it, Shawn Michaels he hesitated.
Exactly.
He hesitated and was like he couldn't pull the trigger and into a figure four and
right.
So I mean, but like I said, other than that, I don't follow AEW as much as I should. I really should do a little bit more, but I mean, I was so used to watching NXT on Wednesdays. Yeah, and I mean, I love the NXT. I love NXT the way they're doing this Cameron Grimes thing. I didn't like the angle at first, but they're going to add Ted DiBiase to it somehow. I mean,
yeah, that was funny. I saw the one with the auction at the house and everything. That really cracked me up.
Mm-hmm.
Ted DiBiase involved, but switching gears for a second, I wanted to ask your thoughts on, at the beginning of the show when we talked about New Jack, I had mentioned about his episode of Dark Side of the Ring. Well, this past week, they had come out with a new episode of season 3 of Dark Side of the Ring, which was about Nick Gage.
Nick Gage, okay. I all of a sudden went blank on what episode was it. I know it wasn't Pillman.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know much. I don't know much about Nick Cage. I really, honestly, I don't. I mean, deathmatch things is not my thing. I know he's super, super popular with the wrestlers and everything. I mean, but yeah.
Nightmare Jones had himself a field day hearing his name last week. I'll tell you that. He was hyped because, I watched the episode and, I've never attended an event that had a death match. I've attended a lot of professional wrestling shows, not just in St. Louis, but all around, and have not been to a death match live in person. I know a lot of the fans there wear safety goggles and they keep their distance from the ring because of the shit that goes down. I mean,
the shards of glass, the
shards of glass, broken wood, the light bulbs that burst. I mean,
that's why you see a lot of the death matches take place outside.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Like, and they showcased that in the episode. Most of the matches that they showed, especially from Game Changer Wrestling, were outside. And whether it's just being in the field or in the parking lot, no spectacular setup or anything, which is fine. You don't need to be lavish, Hollywood style settings. Just kind of almost a backyard type feel to it.
Right.
And, just throw out a bunch of violent weapons and, stuff from Home Depot and beat your opponent with it. And,
basically, yeah. I mean, I believe you do have to take the insides of the light bulbs out because of the metal. I think they have to because of the metal, the chemical in there that makes the light it could be dangerous especially if it gets into an eye or something. So I do know they do that, but still, you're still going through glass. And as we saw in the episode, Nick Gage got a piece of it stuck in his side.
Yeah. Oh my. Oh, that was brutal. And
he wanted to go back out there.
Yeah, that's the thing. He kept wanting to play an angle to where and it's like, and folks, we recommend you checking this out. At least I do, because it is amazing to me to think, and this is one other reason I constantly praise wrestlers, both male and female, for all the dedication they do, for their craft and how much they put their bodies on the line. Because let me tell you something. It takes some serious balls to go out there into a death match, get a light bulb slashed at your side, you are bleeding out, and you want to go into the match and continue. This man literally was flatlined for 7 or 8 minutes. He was dead on the helicopter, and he wanted to wrestle still. What's up with that, Chris?
It kind of reminded me of when I saw it. It reminded me of a story.
Okay.
Is a hockey story, actually.
Ooh,
and
okay.
I can't think of it was a Dallas Stars player. It's gonna kill me that I don't remember the name, but he skated to the bench and he literally collapsed. It was similar to the Jay Bomeister thing that he collapsed on the bench. But no, he actually came to the bench and he was skating off. He collapsed. They took him back. They brought him back to life. Apparently, he wanted to go back into the game, and he didn't want to go to the. He wanted to go back into the game.
I just looked it up. Yeah, Rich Peverly.
Rich Peverly. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm just like, some hockey players are just not wired right. But Nick Gage, and now Gage wrestled AJ Gray at Game Changer this past weekend, and Moxley showed up.
Yeah, I thought that was cool too. I heard they had reported on that, and it's nice for Moxley to still be able to make those types of appearances because early on in his career,
Moxley's living the Moxley was a deathmatch wrestler too.
He was.
But Moxley's living the best life. He's got a contract with AEW, but he can still do these independent shows. He goes over and wrestles in New Japan. He's just living the best life.
He is. And I think, and to me, I think that's why it would be great to wrestle. Of course, wrestling for any major promotion would be awesome. But I think one thing that really sets apart AEW from WWE is the fact that you can go to other promotions, whether it be independent ones like Game Changer Wrestling.
I think they have to get. I believe they still have to get permission to do it.
But even that's better than WWE, who says no. We basically own you. That's what WWE. Right. We've had this talk on the show before too about how WWE basically owns you if you wrestle for them. And don't get me wrong, it's a great thing. It's WWE, but it sucks in that regard.
But they're independent. But they're independent contractors. They're not full-time employees. But we're not gonna relocate. We're not gonna.
No, that's a whole. That could be that's a segment of itself because. That's
John. Last week tonight with John Oliver did a really good piece on the WWE a couple of years ago.
I love John Oliver. Great program, and I saw that one.
And you learn absolutely a whole bunch of stuff. You're like, and then you're a couple weeks down the line and you hear something about you're like, wait, we just talked about that a couple weeks ago, and
right.
So, but yeah.
I want to ask you this, Chris. And this is something that will hit closer to home for you and myself. So, with COVID-19 restrictions starting to be lifted, with mask mandates and things kind of getting back to normal, or at least to a new normal, and a lot of
independent
wrestling promotions are starting to, tour again. Either tour again,
fire back up.
Yep, or fire it back up. How's it feel knowing good old Dynamo Pro is one of the ones heading back on track?
If I can be honest, I have the entire pandemic. I have not been out because I've been working from home since last March. we're working from home until at least September because they're not changing. Even with the masks and everything and vaccinations, they decided that they wanted to do a whole summer and let employees decide that they could go on a vacation, not having to worry about if they have to go back into the office. So, but I mean, this will be the second time I did last 4th of July. I did hang out with some friends for a couple hours, but yeah, I mean, honestly, and we'll talk about it in the we can talk about it. We're still doing the building still wants us to do the protocols. That's why our event is a bring your own chair event, because they don't want to put out the bleachers that they usually have at the sports academy. It's going to be a limited crowd, but it's still going to be a fun crowd. I believe that people are so pent up right now that they're gravitating to anything that they can,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those. It's just it's going to be a great show. I mean, you've got Ricky Cruz and you've got Super Crazy going to headline it. So, I mean, I can't wait to talk to Ricky about that later, because I think he's really going to look forward to that. And I mean, it's going to be a great show. A couple of people were like, "Oh my God, you got to bring your own chairs to the event." I'm like, "Well, that's a building thing. The buildings want the masks, the social distancing, and the bring your own chairs thing. I mean, what can you really do about it? I mean,
yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And, we've noticed a lot out here, and I've said this constantly on the show, but Missouri, especially the St. Louis, Illinois, Eastern or Western Illinois area, is a big wrestling hub.
Oh yeah, we have a lot. We have a lot of promotions in this area that try to fight for one money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got Anarchy, we got Dynamo Pro, we got South Broadway, and I'm looking at some of the fans who are tuning in tonight. We have Shelly, who's tuning in from Belleville, Illinois. Jason, who's tuning in from Fenton, Missouri, which is not too far from the old Stratford Inn, where Dynamo Pro would hold a lot of.
Oh, I love that building. I love that building. That building was so awesome.
I know. I went to some shows there. That's where I first met Jim. Actually, that's where I first met him. And Roberts and everything. So
it's such a good building. It had great atmosphere, especially when there was a whole bunch of people there. The funniest thing about the first show we ran there, we were going to start running there permanently, and the first show was in January, and it was a snowstorm. So we still went on with the show. We had the show. It was a good show. But I mean, it was a very limited crowd, obviously. So but then if you look at it down the line, we had Outlaw versus Ricky Cruz. Wait, Ricky Cruz sure comes up a lot in Dynamo history.
He does.
but we had that when Mike Outlaw won his first title. I don't know if you were there that night. But there was
I don't think I was there, but I remember it.
Yeah, but there was like 250, 300 people there. I mean, that was a great building. I miss it. It's just sitting there doing nothing,
Yeah.
We did inquire about it. We didn't inquire about it because the hotel owns that area, but it went nowhere. So,
man, that's
so we found Concordia, and they're good. I don't know what they're doing with I haven't heard anything about getting back there yet, but we wanted to have the event at the Sports Academy because Ricky and Super Crazy were both in town. Or it's going to be a great thing. And I want to talk to all the wrestlers out there that are listening, if there are any of the wrestlers listening. Super Crazy is we're doing a seminar with Super Crazy, and there are still spots open for it. It's that Saturday. It's going to be at the Sports Academy from 1 to 3. It costs $40. So any wrestler that wants to better themselves, they need to come out to this seminar. To register, you're just email dynamoprodojo@gmail.com. So it's a chance to learn from one of the all-time greats, international greats, wrestled for ECW, WWE, all over the world. So it's a really good chance to get some really good information. So there are a few spots open for that. So if any wrestlers want to inquire, it's dynamoprodojo@gmail.com, and they'll get back to you as soon as they can. So
that's awesome. When I got sent that information about Super Crazy going to be doing that seminar, it kind of blew my mind. I mean, we're having an ECW original, we're having one of the top luchador wrestlers, and just a worldwide renowned wrestler, wanting to help out a lot of young aspiring wrestlers hone their skills. So I think it's going to be a fantastic chance for any wrestlers, like you said, anyone listening that wants this opportunity. It's definitely not one you want to pass up. $40, trust me, that's a hell of a deal for this. So
yeah, and if they're wrestlers, and if you're in like driving distance, like maybe more northern Illinois, up towards Chicago, over to Kansas City, because I know there are promotions over in Kansas City that run. They're in Iowa. It's probably worth your drive to come down there. I mean, you just kind of never know. I mean, and Super Crazy, you're gonna learn a lot. He's gonna teach you probably psychology and how to pull off moves better. So yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And it's funny you mentioned Ricky Cruz, who we're going to have on later on in the show. He does really seem to pop up a lot in Dynamo Pro. I've been to Dynamo Pro shows, whether it be in Concordia, out in Columbia, when you guys had your Cinco de Mayo shows in Soulard. I mean, all around you guys, and even when at Matheson Square Garden, so people didn't think that you guys were at Madison Square Garden.
Right? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He was at the Wrestling with Autism show. So
yeah, exactly. So he's out there a lot, and it's wonderful. I'm glad he's always a blast to be around.
Oh yeah, he's so smart too. He's just so smart. I mean, he gets the business. He gets it. He really does get it. So I know he's looking forward to Super Crazy. Taking care of that. And I think one thing that's going to be underlooked on Crazed Intentions this Saturday is the D1 Championship. And I don't know a whole bunch about Luchador Bandolero. I've looked some stuff up, and I've been impressed, But Camaro's got a big job ahead of him, I mean, and Camaro can go. Camaro is a Camaro. I mean, he's 8-cylinder engine ready to go. I mean,
right. And
I seen him at another show pick up a guy threw him into a crowd of about 4 or 5 other people, one-handed. So I mean, it's going to be a great night. I mean, you've got Ricky Cruz, you got Super Crazy, you got Camaro defending against Bandolero, you've got Arch City Mercenaries and the Bum Rush Brothers.
I think my favorite though is the looking at the card here. Look what we got. I mean, probably my favorite women's wrestler. We have a special appearance by the Dynamo Pro Women's Champion, Reign Victoria, the Empress of Evil.
Yes, we're hoping to see what she says. But yeah, she is one of my favorite. She's one of my favorite people in general. And yes. I don't know if you saw the Dynamo page. They added Sadie Blaze is going to take on Mikaze.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
hard.
Yeah, and you got a battle royal for the chance to get a shot at Adrian Surge. I mean, it's gonna. We're not coming out of the gate with some Shishawali 5-match card of people you've never heard of. We're coming back with we're coming back with all guns blazing.
I was gonna say it's guns blazing and it's full throttle. I mean, I've had the pleasure of interviewing multiple Dynamo Pro wrestlers on on the shows I've done in the past, and they're great people. They're talented wrestlers, and I think it's perfect that
and going back to Camaro, I have to tell you, him and Outlaw are doing Outlaw and Sadie are doing a fantastic job with the new crop of Dynamo Pro Dojo people. Working with them. I mean, if you're interested in the St. Louis area, and you're interested in following your dream, becoming a wrestler, maybe just becoming a referee, you just email dynamoprodojo@gmail.com. Just like if you were for the wrestlers for the seminar. If you're new and want to learn, come on down. They work a couple nights a week, and it's great. I haven't had a chance to get down there because of COVID, obviously, but I've heard some really good things, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of the new faces on Saturday.
There is a lot of high praise for the Dynamo Pro Dojo, and a lot of great wrestlers have come from there, been trained there. And
a lot of cities don't have a wrestling school like this. I mean, way back when I first started, way back in the 90s, the way you trained is you got to the building early, you set the ring up, and or you would work out with people in your backyard. I mean, it's it's crazy. We're very lucky to have a place like the Dynamo Pro Dojo in St. Louis to train the new talent. So
right, and I think you mentioned how not many cities have any wrestling schools. Well, if you want to be technical, I mean, the St. Louis area has two. You have the Dynamo Pro Dojo, but you also do have the Race Wrestling Academy that still runs from WW out in Troy. I've been there, out in a race wrestling arena many times. They put on very good shows. It's definitely one of those shows where to me, it reminds me of like a southern city where they get together for a football game on a Friday night. The whole town gets involved. It's like regulars. Everybody comes in, they have a great time, and you just love to see it. And so
I've never been to the Race Wrestling Academy, so I need to get out there sometime. But with COVID, you haven't really. They haven't had that. They've had a handful of shows, and they've started. So I mean, everything is starting back. It's just like it's hard to say when is the right time. I mean, it's one of those things. You never thought we would have went through what we went through this last year. So I actually looked it up. Our last show will be exactly 15 months to the day of when we had our last show in I believe it was late February.
Oh my gosh.
15 months. And and the guys are ready to go, I think it's going to be a good show. I can go over.
That wasn't the one with the arch rival roller derby, was it?
No, that was in Jan. Oh, that was I love that show. That show was great. I mean, we only had like 4 or 5 matches on it, but we had that. I don't know if you remember. One of the best matches of the night was Adrian Surge versus Camaro Jackson from Bragging Rights.
I was hyping. I remember I had both of them actually, or at least Adrian Surge, but I think I had both of them actually on the I-70 Sports podcast at the time, and hyped up their match. And Adrian was such a fantastic guest. He was excited for the match. He was ready to bring it, and it lived up to the hype. the show.
Yeah.
And you look at the crowd from that event. Yeah, it was half and half, for the Rival Roller Derby and for the Dynamo Pro. But I mean, seats were sold out like crazy. There was not an empty seat in that building. It was amazing. One of my favorite events.
It was. We were hoping that whenever they start back up, maybe we can get into everything with them again, because the ladies, the roller derby ladies, they loved it. They were all about it. So, and I mean, it was a really good show. It was fun. It was definitely one of the fun shows.
Without a doubt. I just can't believe it's been 15 months.
15 months. I know. It doesn't quite seem that way. So
no, it doesn't.
It's almost, when you say it out loud, it's almost hard to believe. It's like, I don't know. I just don't. I don't know. I mean, it really is. It's hard to believe. So I saw Devin James post a little thing. Hope to see you soon. Much love. You've been killing it. He's been killing it with weight loss and training he trained for an MMA fight recently. Dude's got it going on. So
big shout out to you, Devin. Great to you. Much love. Thank you so
Devin
much.
James. Devin James Enterprises is actually one of the sponsors of Dynamo Pro Crazed Intentions this Saturday. So, let me officially do the rundown of the card.
Go for
Dynamo
it.
Pro, Dynamo Pro Crazed Intentions this Saturday night, May the 22nd. Doors open at 7. Bell's going to be 8 o'clock. Tickets are 10 in advance at dynamoprowrestling.bigcartel.com. $12 day of show. 5 to 12-year-olds are $5. Under 5 is free. Only a limited number of tickets will be available, so you want to get yours early. It's the Sports Academy in Glen Carbon, Illinois. Like I said, it's Dynamo Pro Crazed Intentions, sponsored by Slackers and Devin James Enterprises. We've got teacher versus student, Ricky Cruz versus Super Crazy. Dynamo Pro D1 champion Camaro Jackson takes on Bandolero. Art City Mercenaries versus the Bum Rush Brothers for the tag titles. Battle Royal for the shot at Lights Out Adrian Surge. As I stated before, it's a bring your own chair event. The building will not, due to COVID restrictions. Everyone must wear masks are required. Social distancing will be adhered to. All the buzzwords for 2020, 20 and 21. So we'll all be wearing our mask. The competitors will be wearing their masks except when they're in the ring. The building asks that when you're in common areas that you wear a mask. So it's going to be a good show. I personally can't wait to get back in there and see all the fans. I think it's going to be great. Just check it out. DynamoProWrestling.com is our website. DynamoProWrestling.BigCartel.com is where you can get your tickets for this Saturday night. Dynamo Pro Crazed Intentions.
And you heard it from the man himself, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Roedel. It's going to be a show you do not want to miss. From the best stars.
We're coming out guns a-blazing.
See, even the crowd's hearing it. Hardcore Hoss's live crowd there, giving all the approval, right?
Yep.
I'm excited for it. It's going to be a great show. So, I got to ask, before we head into a break, I have to ask you, Chris, yes. There is one interesting wrestling topic that I didn't get a chance to bring up earlier.
We're going back to high spots.
Yeah, we're going to go back to a high spot because there is one thing I did not get a chance to ask you about, which is A-OK, because we were doing some amazing topics. So I want to ask you, What is up with, in your opinion, the cross-branded matches between AEW and Impact Wrestling? Having Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers wrestle with the titles on Impact and vice versa. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I don't know if they're using Impact as a feeder or I don't know. I mean, it's great that they can work together and they're okay with it. Not sure that Kenny Omega needs to have both titles, but I mean, he is probably the hottest person. And I just saw that Kenny Omega is going to highlight AAA WrestleFest in Mexico against Andrade for it's their title, their mega title. Oh, I gonna kill me that, but yeah, it was just announced today that Omega, or yesterday, that Omega is going to take on Andrade in AAA in Mexico. So Omega's becoming a belt collector.
Yeah, he is. We last week we had talked about Becky Two Belts. Well, Kenny Omega is going to have a little bit more than two belts to have to handle on his shoulder.
Yeah, because isn't he a champion? Isn't he a champion in New Japan as well?
Yes, he is a champion in New Japan as well.
I don't follow New Japan as much as I should, but
right.
It was kind of cool this week to see Yuji Nagata back in the States.
Yes, I did like that. It was, I think the way they're breaking the fourth wall, or the forbidden wall, if you will, with New Japan and Impact and everything, with them working together, I think they've been pulling it off really well so far.
Yes, so far so good.
I like how they have a cool business relationship. Tony Khan seems to know what he's doing. And I think what I love most is that he is a wrestling fan at heart. It's like he's a guy living out his dream. That's what's important. You want it to be run by somebody, and this is not knocking Vince McMahon, because believe me, Vince McMahon, in my opinion, is the greatest promoter of all time. But I think what's great for somebody like Tony Khan is that he loves the business from a fan's perspective. So he still has that, he has that real passion into it. And it gives them more motivation to really push the product to the best of their ability.
Exactly. I if anyone's going to make it work, it's going to be Tony Khan. Look, he's been buying up theme songs for people. So, you know.
Yeah, I thought when he bought Tom Watt's old 55, I had so much more respect for him. I already had respected him enough, but the fact that he had bought that song just so they would never run out, so that song would always be tied to Brody Lee, was amazing.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I agree. I'm sure they influxed some money into Impact, you know. So, I mean, we'll have to see where it goes. I don't know where it's going to go. So, we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I agree. Now, before we do go to a commercial break, I was thinking about, because we are still going to have later on tonight, we're going to have Ricky Cruz, but I also want to bring in Hardcore Hoss, and that's a bit of a surprise. I'll bring him on because I would love to have a third man join us on our shoot and shout for the evening. And I know Hoss is always one to bring out the takes, go guns a-blazing. So, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestle Talk Podcast shoot and shout segment. And Hoss, my friend, we're going to kick it off with you.
Oh, wow. I tell you, I wasn't expecting this, so give me a minute to think. Why don't we let Chris go first?
All right, go for it. Chris, it is all you, buddy. You kick us off tonight.
Let's just talk about wrestling fans. Wrestling fans, don't take yourselves too seriously. It's entertainment. It's sporting. Yes, they're athletic. It's great. You want everything to make sense. You don't want to see stupid stuff, but this goes back to the Zombie Jack match. Don't take it too seriously. It is what it is. It was a promotion for the movie that was the sponsor of the show. They had to work it in somewhere. They weren't going to work it in during the Roman Reigns match. They weren't going to work it in during the women's tag title match. That, you know, they were going to put it. They were going to put it there. You know, I mean, Damian Priest was probably the perfect person to put it with, with his gimmick. So just enjoy yourself. Just enjoy what you're seeing. There's been so much other stupid stuff that occasionally you're going to see something that you're like, huh? But I don't know. I just think that David LaGreca took it one step too far. I mean, I don't know. Just don't take yourself. Let's not take ourselves too seriously. I'm a wrestling fan. I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it. I understood it. It's something that you have to do. Yeah, sometimes you have to do stuff for sponsors that I'm sure you've done. With I-70 podcasts, you've probably put stuff over that you weren't quite sure how you felt about it, but you did it because they were influxing money. So,
yeah, understandable. Very true. Haas, you got anything for us, or do you want me to take the reins for this one? It's all up to you.
You go ahead and take the reins, and then I think I'll have it.
All right, buddy. Looking forward to it. For the record, folks, it is not his fault. I surprised him on that one big time. So don't worry. Don't hold this one on him. That's the maestro's fault. As for me, for my shoot and shout, it involves, and I don't remember if I've said this in the past. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. But quite frankly, I don't give a crap because it's something that continues in life. It involves toxic people. And I'm not going to exonerate myself and act like I've never done anything wrong in my life or I've ever been non-toxic. But when you go around trying to bring down other people's days, it doesn't showcase who they are. It showcases who you are. We only have one life, and it's a precious one. We shouldn't spend it bringing others down, treating them like shit, making them feel like less of a person. What we have to do, and I'm not asking us all to sit in a circle and sing Kumbaya. I'm not. But I'm also not asking us to go out like a bunch of savages, beating the holy hell out of each other and making everybody cry. We got to understand, just because actions speak louder than words doesn't mean words don't affect you at all. You can't go around acting like TMZ everywhere and expect to get far in life. So for my shoot and shout, I just want to say, and this includes myself, being toxic will get you nowhere in life. We all have to be better. And with that, Haas, I hand the floor to you.
All right. Well, I think my shoot and shout is kind of going to go towards my shoot job. And in a way kind of goes along with what you've said. Well, at least what you were talking about. Because in this world, there's a thing called common sense. And people really need to use it. And if you ask a question and you're given an answer and even shown that that's the answer, don't ask to talk to somebody else because they can't answer it any differently. It is what it is, and just accept it and move on.
Here, here.
Common sense. People still have that?
Well, I think the Bank of Common Sense went bankrupt, but that's.
I think I saw some common sense half off at Goodwill last Thursday. Just kind of floating around there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a wonderful first hour of the Wrestle Talk podcast. We're going to take a little short break because when we come back, we're going to have the King of Chaos himself, Ricky Cruz, on. We're going to talk a little bit about his career, about the upcoming shows with Dynamo Pro, and later on, we're going to have the game show challenge between Ricky Cruz and Chris Roedel. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. The Wrestle Talk podcast will be right back.
Jam Karp with a chicken oat breakfast. If you ain't a hustler, you might not get this. Eyes wide open, even though we sleeping. Have to get up in your face, creeping. But you gotta be from my town just to know that. All brand new, no need for a throwback. Tell where you're from, but don't be dumb. Get it even, know it. but they said that I won. I will keep grinding, no rewinding. I will ace life like it's one big assignment. Young Max Saga, hotter than lava. Never tripping on them haters cause they ain't hot up. Pops was a hustler, I swear I'm just like him. Girl, put your titties in my face, that's why I like them. Hey, big heads, but I love big faces. My name is Victorious, I already taste it. Good wake up.
I'm up, trying to get it when it comes to that important shot. I gotta hit it cause I'm clutch, baby. Young Reese, he's way too much lately, living mania, feeling crazy, you know what's up, baby. KC's the place where I'm at, where they get hit with the Mac, they get stabbed in the back. I could pull along with a link up with the pack, eating motherfucking beats like they some type of snack. And then I hit the club, see the people moving. I be chasing paper while some people still snoozing. If you ain't winning, must mean you're losing. That's taking L's and it's something I ain't doing. I'm a straight winner from beginner, you should know that. From the killer city, so you know I gotta show that. Be the Kush masters, break it down and roll that. Trying to get some rap. After that, get some more rap.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Drew Doherty, and I am the co-founder and owner of Cold Meal Productions, and you are listening to the absolute best wrestling podcast there is on the internet. And if you're here, you are lucky that you found it. It is time for Wrestle Talk with Joe and Renee.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestle Talk podcast. I am the maestro, Jeremy Karp, alongside one of the amazing voices from Dynamo Pro, one of the best figures in Dynamo Pro Wrestling, my co-host, Chris Roedel, and back running the boards is our very own Hardcore Hoss. Chris, how you doing so far, buddy?
Oh, so far this has been fun. I always enjoy doing this. I was only expected. I actually was told. I was like, "Yeah, we just need you to go on, talk about the show." And then all of a sudden, Joe came up with something. And I had to. They asked if I would fill in. I'm like, "Sure, why not?" Well, once I found out Ricky was the second guest, I was like, "Oh yeah, definitely. We're gonna have fun with this." So
Absolutely. Well, I must say, as we are heading into our second hour, we should go through the sponsors once again, because let me tell you, folks, it is because of these sponsors, and I'm not just talking about Interstate 70 Sports Media, that the Wrestle Talk podcast has gotten to where we are. StreamYard has been so good to us, and it has made this show better and better every week, and we are so thankful. So, for the following sponsors, Everything Combat, Kincaid, Esports Bar KC, Interstate 70 Sports Media, Royal Mills Transportation, Painter's Dream Productions, and of course, the FWWC. From the bottom of my heart, as well as all of ours here at the Wrestle Talk podcast, we thank you for all your continued support. And thank you to all the fans who are tuning in.
got to take care of the sponsors.
Jeremy?
Yep.
May I throw one more in there? Let's not forget now, Rathbun Engraving, as one of our sponsors, where they provide us with these Wrestle Talk podcast mugs that you can get your very own for $25 plus shipping. You can get your name engraved on them. They've got the Wrestle Talk logo engraved on them. And everything just tastes better coming out of those Wrestle Talk podcast mugs. So make sure you get your very own. If you want to get one, get with myself or the Maestro, the Night Owl, Joe, any of us, and we'll get you set up to get one.
Oh yeah, those glasses that you gotta Gotta choke some Steve Weisers in one of those bad boys. Absolutely. Well, wow. We just knocked our sponsor out of the way. I gotta say, it has come to my attention, Chris, that our esteemed guest for the evening is here.
Awesome.
So I am going to introduce him as best as I can, although for a man like him, there is not much of an introduction needed. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a worldwide phenomenon of a wrestler. He is the king of chaos. He is a multi-time champion. And on May 22nd, he will appear at Dynamo Pro Wrestling to take on ECW original and luchador legend Super Crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure, as well as Chris's, to welcome to the Wrestle Talk podcast this evening, ladies and gentlemen, Ricky Cruz.
Hello. Thank you for that introduction, man. I feel important.
Well, you are. How you doing, Ricky?
What's going on, Ricky? How you been?
I'm good. I'm at home, finally getting some rest. Last week was a busy one, and preparing for this week because this one is going to be even busier. It's going to be a great week. I'm excited about the show on the 22nd. On the 21st, I actually has another show that is going to be very important too. And on the 23rd, we have another one. It's like I said, it's a busy weekend of wrestling, but that's what we want. After all this pandemic and a year without doing much, that's what I want, to be back in the ring and to be back competing. And at the level that we are this week, it's insane. Friday, as I mentioned, I'm back in Chicago, and I'm going to be wrestling Bandolero, which is another Puerto Rican wrestler that we know each other for over 15 years. And then on Saturday, none other than my teacher, the guy that put me in the ring, one of the reasons why I'm a wrestler, to be with him in the ring, it's going to be not only interesting and an amazing fight, but it's an honor to me to be able to do this. And then Sunday, it's an amazing show. Gali has their anniversary, so Galiversary on Sunday. All the megastars from Mexico are coming in. Mil Muertes will be there. Itza Lupus, and all of the great new school wrestlers that are making their name in Mexico are going to be there. It's going to be an amazing show. But let's talk about Saturday. I know that you guys want to. That's the local show. That's the one that you guys want to cover.
Before that, did I see a video of you beating up Bandolero at one of the shows this past weekend, or was it 2 weekends ago?
Like I said, I just told you we know each other for 15 years. I didn't say I like him. Me and him have been at it for the past 7 or 8 months. Even during the pandemic, we've been wrestling for the Discovery belt, which I have right now, which is a belt that it's in memory of Discovery, which was a wrestling legend in Mexico and that came to the States in Chicago, and he trained a lot of the guys that like Ali and pretty much all the guys from Lucha Party. Great wrestler, amazing human being. It's a major loss that we had last year when he passed away due to cancer. And as in his memory, they created this belt in his name, and I'm going to defend it this Friday night.
Awesome. So yes, let's talk about Saturday. It's Crazed Intentions. You get to take on your teacher, Super Crazy. What's your thoughts going into it?
Man, I'm going to be honest with you. People ask me, are you going to do a promo? Are you going to do a video on this match? This is the first time in my life that I can't. I really can't, because I have nothing negative to talk about him. Like, Super Crazy has been a positive influence on me from the get-go. From him and Savio taking interest in me because of my martial art background and teaching me wrestling for free. Not charging me for being part of the school at that moment that everybody had to pay and had to, not only pay their dues with what they were doing, which I did that, but not having to pay. And it was, I owe him everything that I am today. I actually had a conversation with him today. We talked about, a lot of our history and how when I left Puerto Rico and he left Puerto Rico back to Mexico and everything that he went through. We talk a little bit of his time in WWE and he asked me of my time in Mexico and how it went. And he said that he would have loved for us to actually get to work there in Mexico, but it never happened. So we only have wrestled in 21 years that I've been a wrestler. We only wrestled once, and it was my very first match in Puerto Rico. It was with him, so the company could see me wrestle with my teacher, and now I get to do it after 21 years again. The funny part is that my first match was May 20th in 2000, and I'm gonna wrestle May 21st with him again. Literally,
full
yes.
circle.
I don't even know how to explain it. I all I can tell you is, you're gonna get to see some Mexican style. You're gonna get to see some Japanese style. You're gonna get to see some Puerto Rican brawling. That's all I can say, because I know we're gonna go all at it, and we're gonna test each other out.
Yeah, and Super Crazy is doing a seminar before the show. So if you have any advice to the wrestlers listening out there, it's from 1 to 3 at the Sports Academy, Dynamo Pro Dojo at gmail.com. You can sign up. There are some spots less. Talk to the wrestlers out there listening to the podcast right now and say why they should attend this seminar with Super Crazy.
All I can tell you is Super Crazy has a very different point of view on how to put matches together, on how to entertain the crowd. If you know Super Crazy only for what he did in WWE, you're missing out. You got to go see videos from the 3 ways that he did in ECW, the stuff that he made in Japan, all the matches he had in indie shows with Eddie Guerrero, with Rey Mysterio, with all the wrestlers in Puerto Rico. Like, you have to look for those videos, and after you see all those videos, you're gonna find a way to be there on Saturday, because he's extraordinary. What you see in WWE, it's the tape down. I don't even know how to explain it. Version of him, because you have to follow rules, and there's some stuff that you can't do. That in other shows he has no regard for. So I am thankful that we don't have a second floor on the venue that day, because I'm sure he would try to jump from there.
We do have those soccer nets that you can probably get up on. So
Don't mention that part.
I'm just preparing everybody for, it's gonna be a crazy night.
Yeah, and $40 for a seminar is a bargain, especially with a guy like Super Crazy.
Definitely. Even when I give the seminars, that's the cost, and that's just me. Comparing my, I mean, I'm very proud of what I've achieved, but when you look at me with him, to pay the same amount for him, man, there's no way you should miss this if you're a wrestler. There's a lot of wrestlers that think, that when you go to seminars, it's just to bump and to get blown up, and they just getting you tired and you really don't learn anything. This is not one of those times. This is one of the seminars that you want to be there, and you want to bring a notebook, and if you want, bring your phone with the full battery to record the spots, the exercises that he will give you, everything. Because at the end of the day, I trained with him 8 months straight every day, and I forgot half of the things that he teach me, and I still think that I know quite a bit. So imagine this guy is it's a river of knowledge. I don't even know how to explain it. Like I'm telling you, it's really hard for me to talk about him, because I hold him in such a high regard that I don't think I do him justice by what I'm saying. But it's a really amazing experience that people that are going to be there are going to have.
Absolutely. So Ricky, I gotta ask you. Speaking about Dynamo Pro.
I mean, you don't have to, but you will.
Well, that's right. I feel obligated. What am I saying?
All
so
right.
I'm asking, what does it mean to you being the only Triple Crown champion in Dynamo Pro history?
Dynamo Pro was when I came from Puerto Rico and I started wrestling back. SICW and Dynamo Pro were like my house. I was always at every show from those two companies, right? And it's incredible because SICW was the old school look of wrestling, the legacy, the history of the business, everything that I learned from the veterans. And then Dynamo was like the other half of what I learned with Super Crazy and with other people. That it's like high impact, what's going to happen now, like quicker. Uh, I don't want to say dangerous because wrestling, all wrestling is dangerous, but some of the matches that I did had in Dynamo with Outcast, the hardcore matches, and with the matches that I had with oh my god, the guy from Kansas, I can't believe I forgot his name because I respect him so much.
Jeremy Wyatt.
Jeremy Wyatt. I am so sorry, Jeremy, but he knows that in the Midwest I respect him. He's one of my top three to wrestle in the Midwest.
And you put Durden's head through a wall.
No, Durden put me through the wall.
It was that wall.
All the tables of merch. But yeah, that's another guy. Like I said, in the Midwest that I hold. He's in my top 5. So great matches at Dynamo. That's where the King of Chaos name was born, in the Stratford.
Yeah, I remember you and Durden getting into a pull apart where everyone came out because he threw beer in your face, if I'm not mistaken. And then we got to the locker room, and here you come through the side door and try to get him again. And then you guys had another altercation at the Ready Room, I believe it was, in Delmar. I mean, so you had some wars with Jake Durden. I mean,
yeah. The funny part of it is that you face this person for so long and in so many places, because we end up fighting in Kansas, we end up fighting in Iowa, we end up fighting here in St. Louis, we end up fighting in Illinois, that we end up being friends. And nowadays we talk, we're civil to each other. But when that day when the beer happened, people thought that it was like, oh, it's part of the show, and it wasn't. I am straight edge. I don't do alcohol whatsoever. And when he threw the beer at me, I slapped him. Like,
it was loud. It was loud. I'm sitting at the ringside going, "Oh, this isn't going to end well."
Yeah, and I feel bad because of that day, one of the guys trying to hold me was
Jaden. Wasn't it Jaden Rose?
Jaden Rose, and I punched him out. I knocked him out. So yeah, but I mean, it's wrestling; it happens.
Yeah, yeah. There was a span for a while there where the Dynamo Pro Heavyweight Championship was held by someone named Ricky Cruz, Mike Outlaw, and Jake Durden. No one, you guys had such a 3-way battle going. That was some of the most fun times I've watched wrestling, and yeah. So it's good. So So I know you said you're not a big fan of Bandolero, but this Saturday, Camaro Jackson's going to take on Bandolero for the D1 title, or defend his D1 title against Bandolero. What does Camaro have to do? Well, that's if Bandolero. But I guess if Bandolero makes it to Saturday.
Camaro needs to bring his oxygen tank, because Bandolero, it's a Puerto Rican that was trained by Discovery on Mexican style, and this kid is like a pinball. He flies all over the place. He's super quick. He's super agile. He's an amazing wrestler. I know they say I don't like him. I don't like him in the personal aspect, but I respect everything that he has done. And in Chicago, he has faced every single name that you can imagine of Mexican wrestling, from Pentagon to Rey Fenix to anybody you want to mention that it's a name in Mexican wrestling. He has faced them all, including Mil Muertes, Ricky Banderas, El Mesias. Name it, he's wrestled them. And this is going to be a big test for Kamaru, and a great win. If he let me put it to you this way: if he wins, it's an amazing win, and if he loses, he has nothing to feel ashamed of because he lost to a great, amazing wrestler.
That's a great way to put it. Amen to that one. Ricky, once again, I'm obligated to ask. Don't have to, but I want to. You've been around professional wrestling for over 2 decades, and
Man, you make me sound like I'm old. The one with the white beard is Roedel.
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way: the difference between you and Roedel, you're timeless. No, I'm sorry.
Roedel knows that there's love. Like I love him to death. I miss hanging out with him and talking with him at the shows. He's one of the guys that has always been respectful and a great guy at the shows. So I can't wait for Saturday so we can sit down and talk for a bit.
I always enjoy learning under your learning tree on how you put things together, and you make it make sense. You're like, now talk through what you just said and how does that make sense? So, you got to tell a story. So yeah. I've learned a lot. So, I know with COVID and everything, you haven't been down at the dojo as much, but I know you've been down there more recently. What do you think of the new dojo crowd? That's the new wrestlers that are being helped by Sadie and by Camaro and by Mike Outlaw and by you. What do you feel? How do you feel about this dojo class?
Well, it's incredible. How can I put it? When I was there all the time training, I mean, you could take Outlaw, you could take Durton. There was a couple of guys. Let's say from 20 guys, you could take 3 or 4 that you go like, yeah, they're gonna make money. There'll be names in St. Louis wrestling in a bit. But when you go now, man, like out of the 20, I think 18 of them are gonna do great. And the other 2, it's because they don't go as much because they're busy doing something else. Like it's incredible how much better it's gotten, talent wise, and the dedication. They want to be there. They're there until 11 o'clock at night, midnight sometimes. It's insane. The only people that do that, it was when Durton was starting. I would come after work. He would train with whoever was there from 7 or 8 until I got there after 10, and we will be there until super late. But there was not a lot of guys who were willing to do that, and now they all. Tootie, what's her full name? I don't.
Tootie Lynn Ramsey. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, she wants to train. She got in the ring with me the other day and wanted to train Mexican style, and I teach her a couple of moves and whatnot. She put it on Facebook, and everybody blew away about it. But she doesn't have a quit on her. I'm really proud. I'm very happy to see how much Outlaw has grown and how much of a great trainer he's being to them, because he's not just teaching spots and sequences, but logic and stop everything and explain why. Because that's the reality of wrestling is not what you're doing, it's why you're doing it. And when you understand that and when you're good at that, you can wrestle anywhere in the world, because you will always let the fans understand why things are happening.
Absolutely. With COVID, it put a big damper, not just on the world itself. I mean, damper's the complete understatement of the century with that. But, it impacted the professional wrestling landscape in so many ways. Now, as many promotions in the Midwest are starting to hold events and getting back into the swing of things, biggest example here we have is, of course, Chris Intentions.
Don't leave. 22nd. Give me 1 second. My wife just brought me something.
Oh,
shout out to my wife. Thank you, honey. I'm sorry. It's live.
No, that's live.
People, this is live.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's live, folks. You're listening to the Wrestle Talk podcast. We have the King of Chaos, Ricky Cruz, with us. So, Ricky, with as many promotions in the Midwest are beginning to hold events, what have you been doing to keep yourself in shape, keep yourself primed and ready to go for all these events?
Well, I was grateful and not grateful, but lucky enough that I never stopped. Even in the pandemic, Gali has their own studio, and we would do events from there and either record them for pay per view or shoot them live for live streaming for people to watch from their home. So I'm literally been for the past year going to Chicago weekly, sometimes Fridays and Sundays for so it's been interesting. Um, but now with everything opening up a little bit, being able to work in other places too. IWA Productions, I end up becoming their champ this time. In Gali, I have the Discovery belt, and I've been defending that and going there weekly. Uh, who else? South Broadway started back up, and we're up and at it and doing great. And I mean, it's been busy. It's been moving.
So
that's great.
So I'm going to do a little something different. I'm going to do a word association with you. So I'm going to give you I'm going to give you a name or something, and I want you to no heads. Just give a few words about this person or this promotion or whatever. First of all, let's talk about Dynamo Pro Wrestling. Give us a few words about Dynamo Pro.
Dynamo Pro, man, it has a special place in my heart, not only because of Jim and Crystal, which are the owners, but because, the guys that that were there at a certain point were like my family. I saw those guys more than I saw my own family, right? And they became my family. At that point, Outlaw was always with me everywhere I went. Durton the same. Jake Parnell at that point, Warhorse or whatever his name is now, was all the time with us. Even Pumpkin, which I can't remember his Gallagher. It was
Gallagher.
So
yes.
We were always together. We were always because I did work in other companies and it was great and I knew the guys and whatnot. But I'm talking about we trained together all the time. We did the shows together all the time. We were after the shows all the time. Like it was family. So all I can Dynamo is like part of me.
Okay, next one, Makazi.
Makazi was on the getting out of wrestling when I came into Dynamo. We didn't encounter each other that much. And then when I came back to wrestle after my neck injury, I saw him wrestling. He was actually the champ at that point, and then he lost to Surge. I like the persona. It's a Japanese style persona, and I'm all into that. I love martial arts. I love Japanese stuff. So I can't wait to see him in the ring one day. We haven't faced each other. We did once when I started in SICW, but that was a long time ago.
Oh, okay. Next one. Let's talk about Adrian Surge. Since you won the title from Makazi, I don't think you've ever wrestled him yet.
No, we haven't wrestled yet. Hopefully soon. Do he still have the belt? Because then I really want to wrestle him.
Yeah, he is the champ.
I'm kind of collecting belts right now. I have 4. I need a 5th one.
Yeah. What about Camaro Jackson?
One of the guys that I think is going to be the future of San Luis wrestling. A lot of people don't see the potential that this kid has. I can tell you because not only I have faced him in the ring and I know that he has the heart, but he's a big, strong guy and he still wants to learn stuff that the lightweights would do. And he gets in the ring with me and trains and does like all these flying stuff from Mexico and whatnot that I try to teach him, and he's not scared of it. So that's what you need to grow. That's what you need to learn from anyone that's willing to teach you. And at the end of the day, I think he's going to be signed eventually.
Gali Lucha Libre.
Man, my home away from home. That's all my Latin guys are there. I have a group of Puerto Ricans that are there. The group it's called the Sociedad Boricua, which means the Puerto Rican Society. And there's 9 Puerto Rican guys there, plus all the Mexican guys that are there. I know from years and years of traveling to Mexico. I get to see wrestlers from back in the day that come like Mil Muertes or like Messias or like Iroh Boy or I mean because of them I've gotten to see way more of my old friends than anybody else.
Okay, let's you got just a couple more. IWAP.
IWA Productions, IWAP. Man, the dude that created IWAP, he's a visionary. He literally bought a middle school and converted into the Midwest edition of NXT. They have their own gym, they have tanning beds, they have the restaurant that is right next to the studio that they record their shows. Like it's insane what this guy made with IWA Productions. He is a great guy. I am thankful and lucky to be able to work on those shows.
Just a few more. The Bum Rush Brothers, Outcast and Shorty Biggs.
Amazing tag team. I wish they travel so more people know about them because they're amazing entertainers and amazing workers.
Jake Durden.
At a certain point, I thought that he was going to be signed like right off the bat, but he went a different route, and now he has a family. He's a grown man, like I like to call it, and I respect the hell out of him for everything he has done, and for the things that I know he will end up doing.
I think we touched on it earlier. Mike Outlaw.
Man, he's my kid. That's all I can say. He's one of my kids.
You said you started with him when he started, so to see his growth has just been. I know that's
it's insane. Not only knowledge wise, but even physically. Like I stopped seeing him for like a year and a half because he was in NWL and all that stuff over there when he moved and whatnot. And then when he came back, he was like a completely different human being. Like he grew hair, let's put it that way. Like I don't know how to explain it, but man, he's such a different guy. Even his style of wrestling has changed a lot. And I can't wait to see what he could do. Because I haven't seen him in a while, so I want to see what he can still do.
Yeah, and one last one, Super Crazy.
Man, my teacher. That's all I have to say. Like my sensei. I can't wait to see him in the ring. I can't wait to hear the crowd. Even when I'm gonna be taking the beating or whatever, I can't wait to hear the crowd chanting his name. I mean, that doesn't mean I'm gonna let him beat me. That ain't happening. but just to have the opportunity to be right there and see the reaction of the crowd and look at through different eyes that the perspective when I wrestled him the first time, I was just literally, it was my first match. So I was so nervous, so concentrated on everything that I couldn't really enjoy what was going on. But this time around, it's totally different. It's a complete different mentality. So I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great show. It's this Saturday, Crazed Intentions at the Sports Academy in Glen Carbon. You can get your tickets at dynamoprowrestling.bigcartel.com. Ricky Cruz, Super Crazy, Camaro Jackson, Bandolero. There's going to be a battle royal for a shot at Adrian Surge's title. There's your chance. You can get into that too. I know you're going to be busy with Super Crazy, but I mean, you want a shot. Art City Mercenaries versus the Bum Rush Brothers. A whole lot more. It's going to be a great show. Get your tickets. As always, masks and social distancing will be adhered to, and you must bring your own chairs. So, because of COVID protocols. So, I mean, Jeremy, you got anything else to ask him? I think we've covered just about everything.
I think all I have to ask is, Ricky, how do you feel if you were to go up against Chris and our Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge.
I feel great that you finally don't feel obligated to ask me that question. Hey, let's do it. Let's do it.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen.
Last time we did this, I won. Just so you know.
Yes.
That is
and if he wins tonight, if I win tonight, I might be in trouble on Saturday. So
yeah. I feel like you'll be in trouble on Saturday no matter what happens. I don't know.
Probably I'm going to be a lot closer to Super Crazy and Ricky Cruz than I probably should be.
That's what I'm saying.
I have this feeling. I have this feeling we're going to see Super Crazy go over my head into.
Let's hope not. Let's hope
Why
not.
did you think I told you not to mention the soccer nets there? There's a specific reason I told you. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the world famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Hoss, hit the music. I love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's installment of the world famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Tonight's contest is scheduled for the best 2 out of 3 falls. Our contestants are the voice of Dynamo Pro Wrestling, Chris Roedel, and the King of Chaos himself, Ricky Cruz. Now, since both of tonight's contestants have nicknames, tonight's Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge category is titled Wrestling Nicknames. In a few moments, I will give the nicknames of 3 professional wrestlers. The first person to win 2 falls in tonight's Game Show Challenge. Now, this is one thing I love about StreamYard is that I can easily tell who says it first. So there's always that plus. All righty. So, Ricky, are you ready, my friend?
I'm gonna do my best. Yes.
All right, Chris, are you ready, buddy?
I'm ready to go. Let's do this.
All right, let's do this. All right, question number 1: what professional wrestler was known in WCW, the WWE, and Impact Wrestling as the Big Bad Booty Daddy and
Scott Steiner?
Scott Steiner is correct.
Yes, it is.
All right.
I was trying to let him finish.
I appreciate that. And I'll explain why later on. But anyway, okay. Question number 2. I can't believe this one. Okay. What professional wrestler in ECW, the WWF, and Impact Wrestling is known as the Rookie Monster, the Man Beast, and
Rhino.
the War Machine? Rhino's correct.
I didn't know about the first one. One.
That's what I'm saying. I saw that. I'm like, what? Okay.
Well, the Rookie Monster was because he debuted like literally like a beast and destroyed everybody in the ring, and he was called the Rookie. So they started saying that he was a monster, that he was a beast, and whatnot. So they end up saying the Rookie Monster Rhino.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either. There we go. See? All right. I learned something new here, folks. All right. Time for question number 3. This one's for all the marbles. What professional wrestler was known in WCW, WWE, and Impact Wrestling as Simply Irresistible, The Chosen One, and Double J?
Jeff Jarrett?
Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, Ricky Cruz got it. Jeff Jarrett is correct. Hit that music, Hoss.
Wait, what was the first one?
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah.
Okay, so for the Jeff Jarrett one, The first nickname is Simply Irresistible.
I've never heard of that, but okay.
I
I've never heard of that. But I'm going to tell you the truth on this one. I never heard for Scott Steiner. I had never heard of the Big Bad Booty Daddy. I'll be honest.
Really?
I had not heard that one. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I knew the genetic. You know what, Hawes? No one asked you. So that's what I get for letting him join the shooting shout. So yeah, congratulations, Ricky.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a big another big win on the game show challenge for you.
Chris Roedel is safe this Saturday.
Yes. Well, I don't know about that. Not sure about that. Like I said, yeah. If Super Crazy is as crazy as what I've seen in the past on videos, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah, it's going to be. It is definitely going to be one.
But we don't really have a second floor, so I think we'll be safe. But you never know.
You never know, man. With Crazy, like from the floor, he can jump like 7 feet high. So
I was gonna say he's not called Super Crazy for nothing.
There's a reason why he's called Super Crazy.
Exactly. I mean,
I really think he's gonna. I really think he's gonna get there and see the soccer nets and think, man, can I crawl up here? I'm not sure.
I feel
I was more concerned with the barrier of the field.
Oh, yeah. You're probably gonna go into that a couple times, aren't you?
No. Of him climbing there.
There's not much room. That's just a little piece of edge of glass. I mean,
have you seen him? Do you think he needs a lot of room? Like, really?
But it's going to be fun. Ricky, where can we find you on social media?
Social media, you can find me at Ricky Cruz STL. It doesn't matter which road social media, it's always the same. Ricky Cruz STL in Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, your mom's phone book, anywhere. It's Ricky Cruz STL. And somebody asked me the other day in Facebook if it was really me answering back because they were interested on my merch. Yes, it is me. I always try to answer everybody that comments or that send me messages unless it's something inappropriate, and then I don't answer to those.
Right.
And you'll have all your merchandise there this Saturday because you got a lot of really cool stuff.
Yes, I got a bunch of stuff that just got home from Mexico. A lot of great masks. As you know, everything that I sell is I try to bring the best quality from over there. When it comes to masks, it's actually masks that can be worn to wrestle. They're real wrestlers' masks, not the fan for kids that you watch and they get destroyed. No, I bring the real deal. Plus all the shirts and all the Ricky Cruz merchandise, as always.
Don't you have a Ricky Cruz? Did I see you have a Ricky? Did I see you had a Ricky Cruz puzzle at one point?
Yes, I have puzzles. I have memory games. I have anything that you can imagine. You know that the people go like, really, memory game? You know what? The other day, I had the opportunity to meet a senior citizen, a guy that was a fan, and he came and bought 3 so he could take them to the senior living facility that he's in for him and his friends be able to use this memory games to work on their memory. So see, I'm helping everybody.
I worked at a senior living center, so I might honestly have to take you up on that. That's actually really interesting.
Yeah, I was very. I never thought when the person that makes all my merchandise told me about it, I never thought that it was going to end up being used for something like that. But it was kind of cool.
All we need is some Ricky Cruz ice cream bars, and we'll be in business.
Oh my God, I don't know, because if CM Punk didn't get him, I won't get him either.
All right, Ricky. Well, I look forward to seeing you Saturday.
It's been a pleasure.
Let me tell you something. Real quick, we are gonna have to talk in about a month. There's something very special to me cooking. I'm trying to me and one of the wrestling local companies are putting up together a different type of show, and wrestlers from different companies are gonna come and help out. And I'm just trying to give a platform to local guys to be able to get seen by their local fans. And what I mean by that is that, for example, if I'm in St. Louis City, I want most of the wrestlers from St. Louis City to be able to participate and be in that platform. If I'm in Limburg, most of the guys from Limburg, and that's what I'm trying to do in the area to get the guys that are local guys more exposure. So the first one will be in Arnold, and hopefully it will be a great show. But we'll talk about that later because right now my concentration is on Super Crazy this Saturday.
That's a tall task, but I think you got this, Ricky. Thank you so much for being on this evening. It has been an absolute, and you know what? The questions were less of an obligation and more of a pleasure. In all seriousness, so you don't have to worry.
I am truly happy to be here. I am truly honored that you guys take the time to talk to me, and hopefully I get to see you all on Saturday. It's been a while, so thank God we got wrestling back, and hopefully the fans are as excited as we are about it.
I hope so too. It's good. I told him earlier. I said we're coming back. We're not coming back with just 5 matches with guys you never heard of. We're coming out with guns a-blazing. So we're gonna entertain you for 2.5 hours. Get your mind off of everything that's happened this last year. So
yes.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the King of Chaos, Ricky Cruz. He will be wrestling Super Crazy this Saturday. Oh man, what a guy! Like, we talk about great wrestlers, but it's even better when he's such a great guy as well.
Ricky's, he's so smart. He's just it's truly an honor whenever I get to talk to him because I pitched him ideas of what to do. He's like, okay, but then how does this make sense? You're just doing a move. Make it make sense. So I am looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to Super Crazy. I've never seen him live, so I mean, we'll see if he's actually as crazy as what his name says. So, I guess while we're talking about it, let me run down that one more time, just so we know. First of all, we've got the Super Crazy seminar that's taking place Saturday from 1 to 3 at the Sports Academy. It's $40. If you are interested, wrestlers, hit it up at dynamoprodojo@gmail.com. And also, if you're a fan and you want to try to take on this crazy wrestling business, you think you can do it, then hit that same address up. But the show is Saturday night. Doors open at 7, bells at 8. You can get your tickets in advance. dynamoprowrestling.bigcartel.com. You just bring your own chairs. Due to COVID protocols, also masks and social distancing will be required. The main event is teacher versus student. We've talked about it a lot. Super Crazy versus Ricky Cruz. Camaro Jackson defends the D1 title versus Bandolero. Arch City Mercenaries defend the tag titles against the Bum Rush Brothers. There's going to be a battle royal to determine a challenger to Adrian Surge. And just found out that Sadie Blaze will take on Makazi. It's this Saturday night. Sponsored by Slackers, CDs and Games, and Devin James Enterprises. Sports Academy's in Glen Carbon. It's one of our favorite venues. We used to run there all the time. There is a soccer net, so we'll see what that happens. Seen Adrian Surge actually kick Makazi into the soccer net. So using Makazi as a soccer ball. So it's going to be a great show. I can't wait, and I have really enjoyed being on here tonight. So I'm glad you guys had me.
Oh, absolutely. It has been an absolute pleasure. And before we go, I once again should mention the wonderful sponsors for the Wrestle Talk podcast that help us out so much and have given us a wonderful platform such as StreamYard as we improve our quality for the fans every single week. We have ourselves Everything Combat, Kincaid, Esports Bar KC, Interstate 70 Sports Media, Royal Mills Transportation, Painter's Dreams Productions, and of course the FWWC. And Haas, why don't you let them know about the last one again?
That would be Rathbun Engraving, where you can order your very own Wrestle Talk podcast mug with your name on it for $25. Just get with one of us, and we'll be glad to get you set up.
Beautiful, and it's they're amazing glasses, I tell you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in on this beautiful Tuesday evening here at the Wrestle Talk podcast. Thank you so much to Ricky Cruz for being on and being such a gracious guest, as much as he is a gracious person. Be sure to check him out. You know, as Chris has talked about constantly, the Amazing Dynamo Pro Show they got coming up this Saturday, May 22nd, as he takes on Super Crazy. But there is so much more on the card, and it's a show you would not want to miss. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Chris Roedel. There's Hardcore Haas. I am the Maestro Jerry Karp. Thank you so much. And remember, life is a book full of empty pages just waiting to be written in. Make your lives worth reading. Thank you and good night.
Wrestling fans, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat talking at you, and you're listening to the Wrestle Talk Podcast.